if you know that there's a technology that's protecting you online and in real life, maybe people will be more encouraged to step out into the streets or to go to a public event because they know that they're being supported by a really powerful technology. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Tech and AI on AUK Radio. We'll be talking about policing, technology, and what's happening in the UK and maybe beyond. I'm joined in the studio once again by my esteemed colleague.
Muhammad Hamisu.
And I'm Tamar Oliver Lavender Robinson. Yeah, so we're into October in the UK and the weather is changing, but the winds of society are always changing, and specifically with AI and tech. What do we have to look forward to in this episode? We're talking about what today?
Well, I think we've had a wonderful discussion and come up with the topic AI and policing.
Yes.
Because it's very important. It will have huge impact to the society. It have a lot of tendencies to improve policing, and then we're also going to discuss the ethics, and the ethical use of that, especially when it has to be with policing, because they are law enforcement. So they are there to protect people and to enforce the law. So they have to be held to the highest standard.
Highest standard, the highest standard.
Yeah, with regard to ethics.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. That's the topic today.
Probably the most exciting aspect of it is maybe through the live facial recognition technology, which is being deployed.
Yeah, biometrics. Yeah, that's so true. Biometrics. It's all part of the greater picture, and definitely it's worth discussing.
Yeah. So I've got a stat for you. Okay.
Yeah.
The Metropolitan Police in the months from January to August used facial recognition 117 times, which is 3 times higher than in the past 4 years. So in the last months from January to August, it's been used 3 times higher than in the previous 4 years. Live facial recognition. What do you think about that?
Well, what I think is, firstly, that's the kind of, adventure, let me use the word adventure, we are facing, we are going through in our lifetime, especially in this modern era. First, technologies are emerging fast, and the more they emerge, they are then rolled fast. So sometimes catching up with these things, because based on what you've said, by the statistic, 1 month is more than the last 4 years.
Yeah, but in this period of time, so January to August, was that eight months? In those 8 months, they've used it more now than in the previous 4 years, which is incredible, really. Yeah, and this is from the Hall Greens City Group in London, who monitor the Metropolitan Police. So if you want to look into the stats or the report they did, I think that's a huge increase.
Oh yeah, and we will continue to see, adapting this technology and implementation across various, law enforcement and within the security and defense sector as well. And that's why it's important for people and for people like us and others that are doing an amazing job to start discussing the impact of these technologies, because they have already been rolled out, and like I said earlier, these things are rolled out and they move fast. The technology keep evolving fast, and then the implementation, the adaptability. So someone has to be the doorkeeper of society and be watching those technologies, how they are being applied to make sure they are in the best interest of humanity. That's it, because sometimes after everything, then people will start to realize there is loophole there is problem there, vulnerability there, but already maybe a problem has already happened, which is not what we want. And that's it. And then biometric has been, in use for quite a long time when it comes to law enforcement. especially within the borders, you know, immigration have been using it. We all go and get our fingerprint, all this, you know, pictures.
Yeah, passports.
Yes.
That's very key. As you said, fingerprints is used often to trace DNA and
Yeah.
work out whether someone's involved with a crime.
The kind of new thing is like using it actively when it comes to, you know, policing, state surveillance, whereby, you know, matching people of interest to the security, to the police specifically, will be, you know, surveilled through all the CCTV cameras available. So that one is, it has been as well going partly, but maybe being rolled out officially, people to be aware.
Yeah.
Is the kind of, and then kind of putting AI, you know. So with artificial intelligence, it will definitely revolutionize and change the whole dynamic.
Because there's already, with many other industries, we talked about it with the healthcare episode, we talked about it where there are existing issues maybe in a system.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you bring in the new technology, certain issues are just going to be exacerbated. So us talking about it is part of just, okay, how does it advance? So if the state of policing now in the UK or in the world is, we'll be aware there's biases, there is the potential for human error already.
Yeah.
There's a potential for people to be mistreated,
Yeah.
or for particular communities to be
Yeah.
over-policed.
Yeah.
These things will be exacerbated, exaggerated by technology. And in fact, this stat I gave you, the two boroughs in London that have been used most is Croydon and Westminster. Westminster. I understand Westminster probably because of the more impact on maybe like the royal family, or there's more high value things in Westminster. But Croydon was also an interesting place, I thought, where the technology is being deployed. So those communities
Yeah.
have had it more than the rest of London automatically already. So what do you think the impact of technology is on existing issues, possibly?
Well, with AI, I think the first thing people, listeners, will be interested to know is that whatever AI is doing is based on the data that it has been trained and fed. So, for example, when you have a system that even without AI is already, you know, biased against specific community, let's be very clear. Take, for example, the incidents many have seen, the case of George Floyd, and many other issues with like policing in America and the black, you know, community. This kind of things, if you let that system that is accused of that bias train AI, so don't expect the AI to perform differently. AI is just going to implement, and you just see AI implementing the data that it has been trained and the algorithm that, you know. So you can easily see such bias exist in AI, and that's why it's very important from the inception, from the design, from, you know, training to implementing the AI. There is need for rigorous and real scrutiny to ensure, you know, fairness for all people, all groups. Like you've said, it's easy to see over policing or targeting some people, community based on certain, you know, criteria, including skin color. So that's why it's important, discussing this and keep an eye on every step.
We'll probably talk about the different ways people can combat it or be aware of it, but something like live facial recognition or policing technology, it maybe be after you're affected by it is when you become the most passionate about it, because maybe people don't realize the importance of it until they are in it.
Yeah, they feel the impact.
There's a very popular Netflix documentary called Coded Bias. I wonder whether you've seen it. If you haven't, I recommend you go and watch it. It's called Coded Bias. It's based around the US. There's a lady named Joy Bulamwi. I don't know if I've said that correctly. And she founded what's called the Algorithmic Justice League. So they put a lot of work and effort into educating people about the dangers of poor algorithms and biometrics. So they very much talk about what happens to people after they've been wrongly accused, or what happens in their lives after they've been affected by the technology. And it can have a lasting impact on a lot of people. If you're for example, if I want to give you an example or hypothetical, if you are arrested under suspicion by the police, and what they use as evidence is that you've been matched to a description or to a image they have in a database, and if you've been wrongly arrested under those conditions, you would feel like it was unfair if you didn't know the reasons or the detail behind it. So when you explained it's based on previous biases, this is something that could cause a lot of harm,
Yeah.
and a lot of frustration, a lot of pain to individuals or communities.
Yes. The good thing, I think, for now, I think AI, from what I've read over the news and some articles relating AI and policing, is, for example, Bedfordshire police here, I know they use AI from an, I think, article I read for administrative work. So they are not rolling it on the real policing side, but maybe helping with some administrative work. But I think the interesting thing is, now if you can get us, the police, to have a kind of discussion and get to know how they intend, or how they are presently, using AI in their
it would be really good to
policing.
get
It would be nice, so that people will be more aware and have, be optimistic. We know the police are there to help and protect the society. But in another way, there is need for interaction, because this technology are new. People need to know how it's been used. And so like I said, I know for now it's mostly used when it comes to places like administration, but we know AI will be integrated in virtually all aspects of our life. So what is the plan for the future? And it's nice to start thinking.
Like the administrative tasks, 100%. Like, I know a lot of police forces struggle with staffing, or they're struggling with getting the right skills. So these things that will speed the job up for them, particularly when it comes to moving cases forward. I don't have much of an opinion on that, other than that they have to just do it responsibly. But the future and the current does still include, I'm going to bring it back to live facial recognition, because have you heard of the Bedford River Festival at all? So the Bedford River Festival happens up in Bedford every year, or every 2 years possibly. This year it was the 20th and 21st of July. And Bedfordshire Police, they did use live facial recognition technology during that public festival. And about 250,000 people attend that festival over the 2 days. So they would have had their faces probably scanned. And obviously, however they are managing their data, maybe it's been deleted after a period of time, possibly. But they would have all been in that area. They would have advertised it. They would have put up posters to show people we're doing live facial recognition. But it's happening now as we speak, basically. And I guess we're talking about the negative aspects. There's good aspects too, right? People can be caught. Criminals can be caught from this technology. So I can't say it's all doom and gloom.
Oh no, definitely. It's just how to balance. Because like other technologies, this is just a technology, and the police, like other services and sectors, can use it, and they should use it to improve their own, area. It's just more of, like you said, be responsible ethics of it. And let's see what the future holds. Definitely they will not sit down and be left behind, because like you've said, criminals also use technology, and they will also use AI to do certain things which are criminal. So definitely you expect the police to, my expectation is for the police to be even more advanced, to be ahead. They need to be advanced and ahead, because they are the protectors, defenders of the society. So it makes sense if they use it, but like we've been emphasizing is, using it, doing the right thing in the best interest of humanity, um, ethics, using it ethically does it. There is, I think, a concept that I know of, I read about, which is called predictive policing, Red Paul. I think there are some even movies that have been, produced to show the concept of predictive policing, which the whole concept is using AI to kind of predict crime and potential criminals.
How would they do that? How would they predict future crimes? I know that it's film and TV, but in the real world, how would they do that?
History of crimes, there are a lot of statistics and data are available. So according to the concept, like there is a movie, I think it's called Minority Report. It's an interesting, it shows a bit of the concept, and I want to believe it's still a concept.
Concept,
not
or
actually
reality.
real roll out now in real time, but it's more of looking at the history. There is a pattern. So for example, a lot of AIs that I know that classify things, let me give you kind of example. Social media, there are some works that have been done with machine learning to censor hate speech or fake news. So all these things will take feeds and compare it with certain data set. For example, you already have what has been confirmed as hate speech or fake news. So when you train an algorithm with those data set, so the next time there is a post in social media platform that you roll it, it will take that post and compare it with the previous one. Because so if they see the same characteristic or pattern in this up to a certain threshold that you have put, so it will easily classify it as this or this. For example, fake news or real.
And the speed it does that is incredible, right?
Oh yeah, that's why it's AI. So kind of similar idea is behind the predictive policing. So based on a person history and then the circumstances, the environment, like you mentioned, there are certain areas they will say tendency of crime is high based on their real data, because they have data. And then even event, like you say, festivals, things like this, maybe probability there is a crime when there is, a night out, people are drunk. So they will take some statistic and based on their real data and feed the AI. Then they will build an algorithm and they will roll it, and then a search will carry on maybe based on individuals and a certain time, and then it will start.
It's a huge topic, and to be honest, what I'm picking up is there's a lot of trust in the data, a huge amount of trust.
Yes.
Okay, because if the data is anyway not, I don't want to say perfect, but if it's not to the right standard, doesn't hit the right threshold, then it's being built on a bit of a false data set. So there's a lot of trust that us as a society are putting in this technology. And even I know personally, and I'm sure everyone have examples of crimes, or you see crime or you experience crime, you don't always report it. You don't always submit it. So there's a lot of crime data that doesn't even make it into consideration.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's a massive tool still, either way. But I know there's limitations to it that we can probably all speak to.
Oh yes, and that's why I think for me, my understanding or view is there should be serious community engagement. People from the community should be consulted and involved, because they will also, raise their concerns, their fears, and as well with regard to the data you mentioned, if we have huge data, the better the data you have, the better the performance of an AI. And one thing I know is AI can do amazing job if once you have the data and you have the right algorithm you select, you do your training correct, there is high, efficiency.
Okay.
Yes, this I can vouch for that.
Okay.
So it's also, in fact, I at a time I was thinking the things AI cannot predict is very tiny.
Okay. That's quite.
Once you have the right variable
Yeah.
and you feed the data,
Yeah.
AI can do a lot of amazing things.
Yeah.
And because it's a machine, like an algorithm, so the physical intuitive bias or emotional bias of human is out of the picture. The only
Okay.
bias that can exist is with the
They don't
data
need to
set.
stop for a break.
That's the
Or
point.
they don't get
So
distracted by an animal walking past. Like,
yeah,
it's just focused on the task.
and the algorithm doesn't care who the person is, their color, their gender, their identity. Algorithm machines don't have all that emotional attachment. So the first thing is the bias arise mostly from the data.
Okay.
Because I don't think from the algorithm design you will put the bias. The bias,
Yeah.
high probability, will emerge from the data.
Okay.
So whoever is responsible for the training should be, responsible as well, should be considerate of the fact that the training can give rise to a serious problem, as well as, so they should scrutinize the data and look at the
Okay.
data that is fed.
And for
But
context, like, how big are these data sets? They're huge, right?
yeah,
They're based on is it LLM, large language models. They're going to be based on a lot of data, a lot of information, and it's not based on very small bits of information. Okay. Although it may be trained with some small bits of data, the amount of data that's out there that they have to draw on it is huge.
yeah,
Okay, from human experience.
yeah. So, but it's really interesting, and we hope to see the future of policing,
Yeah.
like we say, predictive policing, which is a form of preventive policing. So it's
Yeah.
more of before the crime happens, or
Okay.
yeah,
Intervention.
predicting the future
Yeah.
occurrence of a crime.
Yeah.
So it's more of preventive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's positive because, if you're a family, if you want to go out to an event or live in a certain area, you might want some reassurance that you're safe. Okay, and maybe now people are a bit more skeptical of other people they don't know. They don't know who's safe and who's not. So if you know that there's a technology that's protecting you online and in real life,
yeah,
maybe people will be more encouraged to step out into the streets or to go to a public event because they know that they're being supported by a really powerful technology. Yeah, possibly.
and like you've said just now, so sometimes it's kind of common sense if you look into it. It's very simple. You mentioned areas, so there are certain areas you will see there is high crime rate. There are certain areas with low crime rate. So kind of what AI will do in such scenario, to give an idea of maybe the predictive policing, is you can ask AI what is the probability of, a house burglary happening in a house in a certain area
Yeah.
at certain time,
Yeah.
and then another probability in another area at certain times. Then you feed data, you say from police record or history, such number of burglary has happened
Yeah.
in this area, and then given the date as well. And then you feed that one. If this one maybe happens up to like 40% in
Yeah.
the past, and that other side maybe 4%, and in this 40%, the data shows you certain days, that burglary happened.
Yeah. Okay.
So the AI will easily predict that probability for burglary happening in area this on so day in this area, let's say A, is up to
Yeah.
40%,
Yeah. Yeah.
while in that area is up
Yeah.
to
You can
maybe
focus your
5
efforts.
or 6%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what you feed, and then Yeah, it will give you, that's how it works.
That's incredible because, if the police or people in leadership positions have access to this kind of technology, they can say, all right, we need to focus our resources here, here, and here. And probably, well, the evidence will show what happens from that.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that sense, it seems like a very useful crime-fighting tool, something to bring people together and just go, do you know what, we're in control of this situation. Yeah, that reassures me a little bit, actually.
Yeah,
So that's good.
and I believe they always, that's why the mugshot, the profiling of crime and criminals based on conviction as well, just like with the court you have record. So usually there is always a profiling of criminals and crime.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So this forms the basis of the data that will be fed to the AI. This we are discussing the future predictive policing, but using this profile, which will serve as the data that will be fed to the police, the number of arrests, profile of the people, including age group, 18 to 20 or 18 to 30, 30 to 40. It depends.
Yeah.
So they know what they are extracting, but I know profiling happens all the time. There is arrest. Same thing with prosecution, and the prison services, they also have their own profile of each inmate.
True.
So this is part of the data that will be fed.
Okay.
And it will reflect the reality on the ground based on the policing that is happening. So you will see right now it will tell you, if you feed those data, it can easily break down and tell you, okay, crime happens, the probability of crime within a certain age group is higher, probability of crime within gender is high. So all this, it will look, and even depending on the type of crime. It's interesting because to be honest with you, I'm not being over optimistic, but I think ethical use of this, if, and I will insist and I will repeat, if human factor or human bias is removed or addressed, it will do a very good job, because like I said, AI are not human, so that emotional aspect is removed.
Yeah, remove the emotional
so
aspect.
If you feed this data that is real, you are getting it from the police based on their arrest, based on the work they've done on ground, and maybe the prison services based on the sentences from court. You already have existing profiles, thousands, millions. If you feed it to the AI and train it, you will see amazing things.
You're very optimistic about it, and I know that it comes with two sides. So I think people need to really listen to what you said, really focus in, and just look at the positives and the benefits. But I will take this opportunity to say, leadership need to be really responsible and set the tone for people at all levels. That goes down to the people on the ground. We have a new police and crime commissioner, John Tizard, I believe his name is. So he's someone that we would love to have on a show like this, where they talk about what they are seeing and doing and expressing to their staff or to their teams. Okay, and although we're coming to the end of this particular episode, I have a quote here from Silky Carlo from Big Brother Watch that said, live facial recognition and these technologies essentially create people as walking ID cards. So when you're talking about profiling, it's good. We all build a profile. Maybe you see a TV show. I watched the show called The Mentalist, or there's Law and Order. They all have built a profile for what a criminal is and are, what they might do.
Yes.
So profiles can be good, okay, but as long as it's being managed properly and given the right scrutiny, which is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. And issue of privacy, respecting people's privacy, and then protecting even the data, that is stored. And so these are all part of the bigger picture. It's not all about the enthusiasm and the optimism, but because it's complex and it's linked, it's not like black and white.
No.
So a lot of work has to be done. I agree with you. There is It's a reality. It will happen. Criminals are using AI and other emerging technologies. It's common sense. Police and law enforcement agencies will also have to use it. But yes, the balance is what needs to be discussed. And yeah, let's see what the future holds.
Yeah.
And yeah,
There's a lot going on. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. It's been myself, Tamar Lavender Robinson, and my colleague
Muhammad Hamisu
on AUK Radio. So make sure you listen back to our previous episodes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and stay up to date with anything else coming out on the channel. Okay, and you'll be seeing us very soon on the next episode.
Yeah.